Hey, and welcome to this terrific Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We are in the Question Tequila studios of Newsmax TV. We're downtown on Broadway. And before getting into this terrific Tuesday show, let's see what's going on with the markets right down the street at the New York Stock Exchange. The Dow is about even as we come into this Tuesday effort at the top of the hour in the East. Dow is at 27.9. I'd like to see it get above that 28,000 number. We're keeping an eye on that. Bitcoin continues to fall. It's falling incrementally to the downside. Today it's 7,200, down about $300, well 5% from yesterday. So keep your eyes peeled on your Bitcoin because at any time they could pull out the rug and this thing could be 5,500, and that could be very bad news for you, me, and your portfolio, and my portfolio. Good news for the portfolio of the show is when I'm joined, as I am every day, by Frank Morano, my co-host, managing editor. Frankie, good afternoon in the East.
Hello there, John. Good morning to the rest of the country, but yes, good afternoon to the East.
Or as you usually say, good morrow.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Good. What's happening with you?
So
a lot of stuff is going on. We're going to cover it inside and out. We had the Horowitz report came out yesterday. Inspector General's report. It's like if you put on a different channel, you put on the left-wing channels, it's the most damning thing they've ever seen and it exonerates everyone. And I read it like a sane person, and it looks like it is the most damning thing for our intelligence apparatus. So we're going to break that down, the IG report. And this morning, more breaking news, I guess, is that the Democrats have announced, released their two impeachment, the two items they're impeaching the president.
Yeah, we're going to get into it with the chairman of the New York State Republican Party next, Nick Langworthy. But the two articles that they're going to vote on this week are abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, because, of course, we all know how productive Congress was prior to the president obstructing them. They were just doing things like crazy. Of course, it's the irony of all ironies that just less than an hour after these articles of impeachment are unveiled, Nancy Pelosi talks about how they passed the USMCA and how they can work with the president on hammering out a trade
let's
deal.
impeach you, and then let's work together. Let ebony and ivory together in harmony. This is ridiculous. And Frank, I don't want to bury the story, but you know, underneath the Horowitz IG report and the articles of impeachment coming out, the fallout continues from this blockbuster story in the New York Times about Afghanistan and how multiple administrations have been lying to America about our success there or lack thereof.
Yeah, we covered this a bit yesterday with Colonel Daniel Davis, who's been very open with the public about Afghanistan. But this Washington Post story is incredible. They reveal lie after lie that your government was telling you, not just politicians, we're used to politicians lying, but generals, the top level echelon of the Pentagon, and they were telling one story to the public and either manipulating data or just straight out lying to the public with their other hand. And that is precisely what I'm speaking frankly about. It's no secret that I think America's involvement in the longest war in American history should be over. I think we should have been out of Afghanistan a long time ago. And even with all the lies that our own leaders in the Department of Defense have been telling us, it seems to me most American people agree with me, at least they have for the last 5 years. So that's why I think there's two important aspects of this. One of those got brought up by Senator Rand Paul yesterday. This is what Senator Paul said.
This is an argument for more transparency, but it's also an argument for why Congress should do a job. After 19 years, we need to have a full, open debate on whether or not we should still be at war. We should debate what is the current national interest. We should debate, whether we should be at war, whether we should continue the war, what is the mission, and that's not happening.
In my view, Senator Paul is absolutely to wage war in Afghanistan when the president ran, at least in part, on a platform of pulling us out of there without a new congressional authorization on this 2001 authorization, I think is a big mistake. And I suspect whether you're Democrat, Republican, or somewhere in between, people would agree. And the last thing I'll mention about this is what's amazing in looking through this Washington Post story is how many of these people that are now, we know are liars, are now hosted on cable news as experts in national defense. Well, how about this? How about when any of these people, whether it's on the Inspector General report or this Afghanistan story, whenever one of them is on cable news from now on, whenever they're quoted as an expert in something, in addition to their title or their former title, it should say, and I don't care if it's Newsmax, Fox News, MSNBC, big bold letters, proven liar. That's what I'd like to see.
That would be great. And
because it's ridiculous. These people
Clapper,
still have
Brennan, these type of guys.
They're not in the Afghanistan
I'm just saying,
situation,
but they're probably part of it.
It's ridiculous that these people have any credibility to influence American foreign policy.
It's ridiculous that the left reads the IG report and says it exonerates them. Donald Trump this was all a fantasy of his mind. He wasn't spied upon. You got to read this stuff for yourself, because you watch the television shows. If you happen to tune past one of these wacko left-wing shows, they'll tell you how this IG report was the greatest thing since sliced bread because it proved Trump was wrong about everything. I'm going to break down. There were 17 points that Inspector General Horowitz found that investigators that got the FISA warrants to spy on an American citizen, starting with Carter Page, there were 17 points that they made mistakes, errors, and omissions. Now, we all know a lie of omission could be the worst kind of lie. So I'm going to break them down. There's 17, but I think there's 12 that are damning. And I want to break them down simply. And Frank, you help me out. I want to go through them. And you usually keep me honest if I'm exaggerating. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to call these 12 the dirty dozen of the IG report. Okay, there's a 12 dirty dozen, and this one is starring Adam Schiff, Jerry Jabba the Hutt Nadler, and Nancy Pelosi. They're the stars of this show. Okay, now they're impeaching the president today. What? Ta-da! Let's see how all this started, because they couldn't get him on the Russian collusion. But number one, this is right in the Inspector General's report. The FBI.
We couldn't highlight this or anything. I mean,
I asked for it to be highlighted,
but
Nico,
on television.
Omitted information the FBI had obtained from another U.S. agency detailing its prior relationship with Carter Page, and that he was approved as an operational contact for the other agency from 2008 to 2013. Okay, that's number one. Now, you understand what they said there. They forgot to tell the judge when they went to get a warrant on Carter Page, hey, we think this guy's a Russian agent, even though he's an American, and we want to get a special warrant to spy on an American. We think he's a Russian agent. They forgot to tell the judge that he was an American agent for 5 years in good standing. So to me, right there, that sounds like, I think they call that exculpatory evidence that the judge may have wanted to consider.
Yeah, I mean, they also manipulated evidence to the judge.
We're gonna get to. I want to just take every single one, and because people don't get in. Everybody reads the headline, but nobody gets into the detail, and you usually do it way more than me. But when you read these, there's this thing called the smell test. When you read these, the Inspector General, he doesn't have the ability to bring criminal charges, okay? So the left is going to keep telling you that this exonerates everyone, nothing happened. But here they forgot to tell the judge that Carter Page worked for the U.S. intelligence agency apparatus for 5 years, and he was in good standing.
Right, or at least that he was approved.
Yeah, you would think the judge would say, oh, okay, we know a lot about this guy. How come we think he's a spy? So they don't tell the judge about that. That's number one. There's 12. I'm going to break them down throughout the show. Number two, they included a source characterization statement asserting that Steele's prior reporting had been corroborated and used in criminal proceedings, which overstated the significance of his past work and was not approved by Steele's agent as required by the Woods procedures. So, they wrote to the judge and told him that they had used this guy's reporting before, and it was corroborated, and it was used in another case, and it was stand-up, good old data. What they forgot to tell the judge was that wasn't true. that it overstated it. His stuff was uncorroborated, and that statement wasn't approved by the handling agent. What does that sound like to you?
Well, it sounds very deceptive.
It sounds deceptive.
Yeah.
So you would think our own intelligence agencies talking to our court system, the special court, they wouldn't be omitting and deceiving, would they?
Well, we know that they are.
Okay. I'm going to do one more in this segment
right.
because I might blow a gasket. So I
See
got
that?
to
Yeah,
I got to
you're all-
spread them
you're-
apart
you're
a
all
little
red.
bit. Otherwise,
That
I might
vein is
lose it. Man,
popping
that
out of
vein
your
is going to
left
pop.
eye. Yeah.
I'm going to drink early today. They omitted that George Papadopoulos, in consensually monitored statements to the FBI and a confidential human source, denied that anyone associated with the Trump campaign was collaborating with Russia or outside groups like WikiLeaks. So they had George Papadopoulos on tape speaking to another confidential source, and he said to the guy, not knowing he's being taped, yeah, there's no links between us and the Trump and none whatsoever. But again, this omission of this might have kind of worked against their expanding their warrants, right, Frankie?
That's right.
These are all omitted. They forgot to tell the judge all the good stuff. They just told the judge the bad stuff. That's not how our system works, folks.
Well, unfortunately, it is. You'd be amazed at how common this is.
What I'm saying is
The FBI does this all the time.
Frankie, there's a higher standard in a FISA court where we're going to get a warrant to spy on Americans. Okay? I think there's a standard out there that was supposed to give the judge all the fruit of the investigative efforts, not just the stuff that supports your case. Am I wrong on that? Or do we have that expectation?
I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but we have a host of experts on the show today to break it down.
We sure do. All right, coming up on today's show, the chairman of the New York State Republican Party, which happens to hold 5 seats that are highly vulnerable, and we're going to talk to him about how we pressure these Democrats or how we band up and knock out 13 of them. We need 19 seats to take back the House. Nick Langworthy is going to be with us a little later. Eric Early joins us. We're going to talk about Schiff and the impeachment. Our good friend Fernando Cabrera is going to be here to talk about Amazon and AOC and why he's running. And Bill Cortez and Josh Kravitz are going to be here to mix it up. Democrat, Republican, the purple people will be represented. And then, like every week, Nate Bradley's here. We're going to be talking about big data and how all the big companies are using your data to rip you off and make billions. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back right after this with Nick Langworthy.